What would you do if Social Security ran out of money? Scary thought, right? Here are 6 steps that you can take. So even if that happens, you'll be good to go. Did you know that 33% of Americans, they get 90% of their income through Social Security? That's a huge chunk, right? And I know some of you listening to this may be, maybe not 90%, but maybe 80, 85%. And for those of you who see me for the first time, this is a channel on retiring on moderate income. If you think about like something like that, think about subscribing and like the video as well. Here's another stat for you. 60% of people 18 to 44 years old doubt that Social Security will be there for them. That's a big statistic, along with the first one. But here's the thing. Even if Social Security, if nothing happens to make it fundable, let's say, by 2033, you're still going to probably get about 75% of your current Social Security check for those of you who are already receiving it. I know, that's a big drop, but listen to these 6 steps. They might help you. Okay, here's number 1. For those of you just starting out in your planning journey, and I am so fortunate to have a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s watching this channel. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. This first point is especially relevant for you. Just plan on Social Security not being there. Plan your retirement as if Social Security will not be there for you. That's the easiest way to go about it. And you know what? Hey, if you get there and it is, think about that additional money you'll have. Won't that be a good retirement? Yeah, you'll probably be a lot more than moderate income if you plan that way. Or, worst case scenario, let's say for those of you in that age range, Social Security is still going to be there, but let's say it's all the way down to 50% of what it predicts now that your allotment will be. That's still a great place to be in if you start saving as if Social Security will not be there for you. If you have that mindset on your saving when you start early, man, it's going to be a good retirement for you. Okay? Here's number 2. And this is crucial for those of you that haven't retired yet, and even for those who are already retired. Know what your fixed expenses are, or spending, same thing, fixed versus discretionary. Why do you need to care about that? Because if you know what your discretionary spending is, that is stuff that you can kind of pare away. If, God forbid, we start getting 75% of our Social Security check after 2033, the fixed expenses, utility, mortgage payment, rent, you know what fixed expenses are. Discretionary, it could be subscriptions to things you might look at like once a year, right? It could be, some people have in their budget dining out expenses thrown into their budget. Well, you know what? That's a discretionary expense that can easily be pared away if you need to, right? So start looking at that now, guys. What are your fixed expenses? What are your discretionary? And on those fixed expenses, can you cut those back some? If you need to, even move to someplace with a lower cost of living. So instead of, let's say, having a $1,500 amount rent, you can get by with $1,100. Have all those things mapped out now, or in the next coming years, so you can know I absolutely need to spend this amount of money on my fixed expenses per month. I cannot go any lower. On these discretionary expenses or spending, hey, I can cut back here, I can cut back there, and if need to, I can cut all the way down to like a minimum of discretionary expenses and spending. That's a good feeling when you get that cut down and you can look at all that fat that you can trim away if needed. If not, hey, it was a good experience to go through just to get that down on paper, right? Believe me, it'll make you feel a lot better. Number 3, have an alternative plan. For an example, you could move, like I just mentioned, to an area with a cheaper cost of living. You know, this might not be your first choice, but is it something you can do if 2033 happens and you're getting 75% of your Social Security check? Might not be your first choice, but if you start planning now, you can make it a close second choice, right? Think about moving to a state with a cheaper standard of living, or even another country. I mean, look at all those. You got a lot of YouTube channels out there, guys, from people from the Philippines, you know, putting their experiences on YouTube. Some of it not so great. Others, man, they're making it work pretty well. Costa Rica even. I mean, what a beautiful country, you know. Or, hey, if you are currently retired in, let's say, New York City, okay, what happens if you make an alternative plan to move to the Midwest or something? You know, as you get older, I mean, I know with me at least, I love having options. That's why I love having Los Angeles within, you know, a short distance away from me here in the high desert. So when I go to visit my girlfriend, I've got all the options I want, but I'm still relatively young when it comes to retirement. As you get older, do you really need all those options as much as you did when you were younger? That can be your alternative plan. You know, 2033, if you're 60 now, what are you going to be then? You're going to be getting close to 70, right? As I've said before in other videos, you've got the go-go years, slow-go years, and no-go years. As you start going to those no-go years, you don't need to do as much. So that move from New York City to the Midwest, if you're, say, 75, that might not be that bad when you think about it. Number 4. Think about an annuity to supplement your Social Security. Now, as I've said on this channel many times, I am not a fan of having an annuity for all of your retirement nest egg. A small portion, hey, go for it, man. If you can give yourself some guaranteed income per month in addition to Social Security, so if it does get cut, it won't feel so painful, why not? Take a small portion of your current retirement nest egg, put it into an annuity. Now, there are a lot of different steps, a lot of different caveats for annuities. So before you even think about doing this, number 1, run it by a professional. I'm not a professional, guys. I'm just someone giving you my experiences on what has worked and not worked for me in retirement. Run it by a professional. There are a lot of little tripwires in annuities that can trip you up, you know, when you least expect it. So, but once you go through that whole plan, take a small portion, put it into annuity, give yourself additional monthly income. Number 5, this is for my younger viewers and those still in their 50s. Max out your 401k and IRA contributions every single year. Put as much into that now as possible. This is just the same as my first point, you know, start saving, like Social Security won't be there for you when you retire. Max those suckers out. And at the very least, guys, the very least, you got to take advantage of those, you know, those company matches. Can't even talk today. What the heck, man? Company matches. For my company, it was 6%. As long as I put in 6% of my salary into a 401k, I would get a full company match. For those of you watching, it could be different. Number 1, take advantage of your full limits for your 401k contributions and your IRA. Number 2, at the very, very least, get that company match. That's free money, guys. That's free money. Number 6, contribute to an HSA. What's an HSA? It's a health savings account. A lot of people do that. So later on in life, they can take out of this HSA for medical emergencies or even high-cost medical costs, you know. What's going to happen to Medicare in the future? We don't know. Will that be reduced? Will it be shoved more toward a private enterprise as opposed to governmental? Could there be competing, you know, companies going for Medicare? That could really screw things up as far as I'm concerned, but it may happen. But if you have an HSA, that can alleviate a lot of that maybe future pain that might come to some of us, right? So there are 6 ways that we can kind of guard against the fact that Social Security might run out of money. Now, is it going to totally run out? No. But 75% of what you people are getting now, I'm not young enough to get it yet, but I'll be there soon. 75%, we're talking a quarter of your monthly allotment chopped. That's a big chop. So if you take some of those steps now, guys, you can alleviate some of that pain if the worst does happen, all right? And from the lovely high desert, just remember, as always, we got this.